Your safety comes first with the First Alert Radar Network. First just got faster. Live from Augusta, you're watching News 12 at 6 o'clock.
Good evening. There's a lot going on tonight, and we begin with a weather check. A great night to head out to the Columbia County Fair.
That's where we find First Alert Chief Meteorologist Riley Hale. And Riley, it looks like everybody's having a great time there behind you.
Absolutely, guys. It's a great night to be out here at the Columbia County Fair, and temperatures won't be hitting the 70s. We'll have a look at that weekend rain coming up in just a little bit.
Okay, thanks for that, Riley. 720 local lives lost here in Augusta alone during the pandemic. Today, city leaders honored those victims and highlighted the strength of families and friends who stood by their loved ones during a time of so much uncertainty.
And many of these families could not be with their loved ones in the hospital during those final moments. Others couldn't even attend a funeral service. Hallie Turner joins us live from the newsroom. And Hallie, tell us about the new plaque they placed on the Riverwalk today.
Yeah, Richard, local leaders say they hope the plaque at Heroes Outlook serves as a place of peace and remembrance, and also a way to give some closure and respect to those looking to grieve those losses. Anthony Hunt will never forget COVID-19.
COVID-19 is always going to be a huge part of my life because it took my backbone away from me.
When it hit in 2020, he was 19, had just graduated high school, and had big plans to head off to college. When his mom was diagnosed with COVID, everything changed.
He was like, baby, do you mind having a conversation with me? And my mom was like, do you mind staying home for a year?
The next year, he watched his mother's health decline from behind the glass.
The thing that got me when my mom died, they told me I couldn't hug my mom. They told me I couldn't touch my mom.
And neither could so many other families, separated, unable to properly grieve. But the city of Augusta is hoping this memorial plaque will be something families can come visit, touch, and use as a way to grieve those losses.
Families that couldn't get together at funerals could come here and say, that's my mother, that's my friend, and just have a moment to spend with them.
But as he celebrates his 4th birthday without her, he continues to find ways to keep her memory alive.
She always pushed me to be a good man to the society, and I'll try to be that role model.
It's just one story out of hundreds from more than 700 who have lost their lives to COVID so far in Richmond County.
I used to tell everybody, my mom was the honey to my honey bun, my mom was the sugar to my iced tea, you know, my mom was everything to me.
Now that plaque is ready for all to come and lay hands on, honoring and remembering the ones who meant the most.
And Hallie, thanks for sharing that story. You can see how he lights up talking about his mom still.
Absolutely. And something to point out, too, is those are just the numbers for the end of 2022. So we're talking about even more since then. So a significant amount of people in Richmond County.
And a permanent place now on the Riverwalk to think about those lives lost. You know, just hours ago, the Georgia Department of Corrections confirming the arrest of an Augusta State medical prison guard. A spokesperson says former officer Nicole Rosario was arrested November the 5th, then fired. They say the 27-year-old was trying to enter the facility with contraband believed to be on the way to an inmate there. She's facing 3 charges and is yet to make bond.
Parents in Columbia County still have time to make it to the 4th rezoning meeting tonight. Westmont Elementary School, that'll open next school year, and South Columbia Elementary, that will close at the end of this year. So this will give you a chance to look at how those rezoning lines will affect some schools in the district, and you'll be able to submit your questions to the district. That meeting started at 6 o'clock over at North Columbia Elementary. The next and final meeting is November 14th. It's at the Columbia County Board of Education building.
New tonight, the process begins to find the next president of Augusta University. They just formed that search committee to find those candidates. Earlier this year, President Brooks Keel announced his plan to retire after the 2024 academic year. The first meeting between the members will be coming up on the 15th. Earlier, Chief Meteorologist Riley Hale mentioned we have a cold, wet weekend ahead. The city does offer shelters, but they're mainly available for extreme weather conditions.
They work on limited schedules a lot of times, but now a local church in downtown Augusta is opening their doors to serve anyone in any time of need. Nick Veland shows us how.
Well, city warming shelters are only available during extreme weather conditions. So here at St. Paul's, their doors are open year-round for anyone if they need a break from the weather outside. Church bells and delivery trucks.
Well, we're a downtown parish
in the heart of where the need is.
Desperate poverty, anecdotally, seems to be getting worse.
Right on their doorsteps.
We've noticed increasingly more and more people sleeping on the church grounds, for instance.
And he says even more people are coming in on the brink of being homeless. So Reverend Dr. Eric Biddy says that the space is being put to use to address the need.
Space, sitting here in the heart of downtown, is climate controlled. It's warm in the winter, it's cool in the summer. And so we keep our doors open for anyone to come. Our phrase is to have your heart and your toes warm.
It's not an official warming center, but it's a gateway to escape the cold.
And folks are welcome to come in kind of on their own for a quiet time, safe from the weather, anytime the doors are open.
St. Paul's goes beyond just a place to defrost.
How can we love our neighbors as ourselves? And doing that, we didn't have to look hard for needs that we could address. Housing and food presented themselves to us immediately.
They look to solve this by welcoming those through their doors to help feed and house anyone who may need it.
As much as we can, we try to invite people in to break bread with us.
As the weather gets colder, St. Paul's wants people to know that if you need a place to go, their doors will be open and they'll be here to help if they can. In Augusta, Nick Veland on your side.
And we'll have a link on our website with more information on St. Paul's outreach.
Just an amazing new mission for that church right there in the heart of downtown Augusta.
Incredible. The problem at their doorstep.
At their doorstep.
Fixing it.
We're going to also include a link to where those warming shelters are, where the weather does drop below freezing and people need a place to go. Well, there's much more ahead. We're live for Christmas in Columbia County, and then the Sky 12 drone up in the air for the Community Cares Night over at the Columbia County Fair. Riley, so much happening right now.
Absolutely, Richard. It's a great night to be at the Columbia County Fair, and we're going to have a live look here and take a look at some weekend rain chances just after a short break.
Time and temp.
Near 60 by around 10:30, 11 o'clock. So no winter chill out here tonight. We're going to hang on to cloudy skies, and that's going to keep temps most likely mid to upper 50s by daybreak Friday. We're expecting to stay dry through at least around lunchtime Friday. It's going to be later into the afternoon. We start to see a few stray light showers, nothing that looks widespread or too heavy, but potentially just enough to impact some of those high school football games tomorrow evening. And then watch what happens heading into the weekend. So behind this front bringing us the rain Friday, we're going to see the wedge form. You can see that northeast wind starts to pick up. That's going to draw down some much cooler air. We're going to have warm air overriding that cool air at the surface, which is going to provide just kind of widespread light rain that will stick around all day long Saturday and even most of our Sunday too. So this is going to be kind of a washout weekend, folks. If you had outdoor plans, I would plan to have a plan to be inside. Here's a quick look at that 7-day forecast. We are going to see high temperatures in the 50s for this weekend, so you can see a big temperature drop heading our way. As we head into next week, that's when those temperatures will start to get back at least into the 60s, but still several degrees below average, even for mid-November. So this cold front definitely going to bring us a big shock. We've been in the 80s most days this week. Temperatures will feel about 30 degrees cooler through the weekend.
Okay, thanks for that, Riley. 10 days ago, a suspicious activity call to 911 ended with a discovery of a body on Hurt Avenue. It was in a shallow hole covered with a blue tarp. Deputies arrested 30-year-old Colby Smith that same day. Ever since, he's been behind bars, charged with murder and concealing a death. Investigators still haven't released the name of the victim, but tonight we're learning more about Smith's past.
As Sidney Hood explains, he had 2 warrants for his arrest, meaning he should have never been out of jail to allegedly commit this murder.
Let's go back to October 30th. A call came in about suspicious activity on Hurt Avenue. That led deputies here to this shallow hole and blue tarp, and underneath it all was a body. The man who lived upstairs here, Colby Smith, now faces murder charges. We discovered Smith had 2 warrants issued 1 week before his arrest. One for violating his probation and the other for refusing his mental health treatments. He was ordered by the courts to get mental health injections. We uncovered Smith is no stranger to the courts, going back to 2010 when he drove into an ATM and then shot the machine. He's let out on probation but violates that in 2016. In 2017, he's sentenced to 5 years in jail, and through public records we got from the courthouse, we found letters Smith wrote during that time. June 2018.
Big shock. We've been in the 80s most days this week. Temperatures will feel about 30 degrees cooler through the weekend.
Okay, thanks for that, Riley. 10 days ago, a suspicious activity call to 911 ended with a discovery of a body on Hurd Avenue. It was in a shallow hole covered with a blue tarp. Deputies arrested 30-year-old Colby Smith that same day. Ever since, he's been behind bars, charged with murder and concealing a death. Investigators still haven't released the name of the victim, but tonight we're learning more about Smith's past.
As Sidney Hood explains, he had 2 warrants for his arrest, meaning he should have never been out of jail to allegedly commit this murder.
Let's go back to October 30th. A call came in about suspicious activity on Hurd Avenue. That led deputies here to this shallow hole and blue tarp, and underneath it all was a body. The man who lived upstairs here, Colby Smith, now faces murder charges. We discovered Smith had 2 warrants issued 1 week before his arrest. One for violating his probation and the other for refusing his mental health treatments. He was ordered by the courts to get mental health injections. We uncovered Smith is no stranger to the courts, going back to 2010 when he drove into an ATM and then shot the machine. He's let out on probation but violates that in 2016. In 2017, he's sentenced to 5 years in jail, and through public records we got from the courthouse, we found letters Smith wrote during that time. June 2018, he writes,
I'm a cheerful and positive person. I was not supposed to come to prison.
September 2018, he writes,
These days I'm not weary in well-doing, but all things that I feel are awful. I'm sorry, I apologize, forgive me, I repent.
He served 5 years before getting out on probation in 2022. He's ordered to report to mental health court. A year later in April, he violates his probation, missing treatment sessions, drug screens, and court dates. Court documents show he wrote another letter calling the people who give him his mental health injections, quote, the Antichrist. He continues,
I should be free.
Now to September 28th of this year, he is medically terminated from mental health court, meaning he isn't keeping up with his court-ordered treatments and is back on probation. There are now 2 warrants for his arrest, and just a month later, he is arrested and charged with murder. In Augusta, Sidney Hood on your side.
So back in March, city leaders reviewed a report for a mental health initiative in Richmond County.
In 2021, Johnson pushed Augusta to become a Stepping Up city. That's Commissioner Jordan Johnson. The Stepping Up initiative is a national organization to help reduce the number of people going to jail that suffer from mental health issues. Changing gears, for the first time in Augusta, the Coliseum Authority coming together to celebrate the future of the James Brown Arena.
It was a big week for them. Leaders already talking about the next steps and when work will begin to rebuild the arena, but not without a toast first.
Any more toast if you also toast? Here's to giving 100% for Augusta, Georgia. Here.
So right now they're working to find contractors and architects. Tax collection on that tax will start in April. Once the Bell Auditorium renovation is complete, then they'll start demolition on the JBA. So far, budget plans are still right on track.
And probably the most lively Coliseum Authority meeting today.
Yeah, that's right. Something to celebrate there for sure.
A scam could be lurking in your mailbox. Our I-Team investigates after the break.
First to money, faster. That's all nines.
Foundation settlement can be serious. Cracks that start here can soon appear here. And here. A healthy foundation is a healthy home. Rely on the experts. Rely on Ramjack Foundation Repair.
Hey, Jill, what's the matter?
Man, this is name change is stressing me out.
Everyone will know we still specialize in Medicare.
Yeah, I know that. What about this?
Are you 64.com?
Nearly $70,000 could be life-changing for some people. For one Lincolnton woman, it could have helped with medical bills and living expenses.
Now, prosecutors in Minnesota are working to bring justice to thousands of victims all across the country. Our I-Team's Will Rio takes a look at how one family is fighting to get back their hard-earned money.
Well, far from the only one. Federal prosecutors say this scam racked up $300 million of phone call at a time. Phone calls to people like Penny Mashburn.
Penny Mashburn didn't always live in Lincolnton with her sister Nancy. It was a breast cancer diagnosis in 2019 and her husband's death that led Penny to make the 110-mile trip to be with her sister.
She would sometimes just say, you know, I'm really struggling. And I would loan her some money or whatever needed to be done. And I always wondered why she had such financial difficulty.
While sorting family finances, something caught Nancy's attention on her sister's bank statements.
S&W Publishing, $2,294.60. Preferred Readers, $3,155.55, for the grand total of $68,829.02.
So how did all of this begin? When Penny lived in North Carolina, some kids were trying to make money selling magazines for their school. She ordered a cat magazine and a Sudoku puzzle, but it wasn't until she started receiving her periodicals that things went south.
All of a sudden, I would get a phone call saying, we're the magazine company that sends you your magazines, and they wouldn't know if you wanted any others, or they would suggest some, like Better Homes and Garden. I said, no, I don't want it right now. I thank you anyway. But the next thing I knew, next month, I would get a different magazine.
From 2014 to 2019, fake magazine companies were able to get a hold of Mashburn's bank account information. It was bought and sold from one company to the next. Now, a series of federal cases in the District of Minnesota is charging more than 60 people in a telemarketing scam called a magazine scam that swindled seniors and other vulnerable victims out of more than $300 million.
They call and they say, well, we're the company that sent you your magazines. And we noticed that you're a senior citizen. And we need to give you a different price. And so I had agreed to it. And the next thing I know, here comes some more magazines.
Federal documents say the companies carried out their scheme by calling victims who had one or more magazine subscriptions, offering to give them a cheaper price. The federal lawsuit says they were not calling from the magazine companies, and they were not calling to reduce the cost of an existing subscription. Instead, these companies were tricking the victims into signing up for entirely new magazine subscriptions they did not want and often could not afford, according to the prosecutors.
What do they characterize your sister in this case?
As a mega victim.
Penny was one of the few victims that lost more than $50,000. Some companies would call victims, including mega victims, claiming they were calling from the cancellation department. The caller would offer to cancel the magazines, pay off any balance owed in exchange for a large one-time payment.
What was your initial reaction when you started compiling that list and seeing all of these charges?
I was pissed off. I was pissed off. I told her, I said, I cannot believe that you allowed this kind of amount of money to come out of your account.
The original fundraiser was legitimate, but Stowe says kids are the ones opening up vulnerable people to this scam.
My sister, because of her circumstances, just ended up being hit harder and for more money than other people.
Still today, magazines continue to show up in her mailbox every month. Some of the magazine contracts last through 2030.
We've gotten enough magazines and enough trees killed to sink a boat.
Penny and Nancy both traveled to Minnesota, where this case is being tried, to testify in federal court. They've filed for restitution, but there's no guarantee what, if anything, they'll get back.
You know, you think, well, they can't scam me, but they're out there and they're good. They know what they're doing, and they have no conscience or concern as to how it affects other people, what they do and what they take from them.
What they took from Penny was essential. After her husband passed away, she's dealing with medical bills from fighting breast cancer.
If we can help anybody from saving $25, that's a victory. That's not going in their pockets.
So how do you protect yourself from a scam like this? Some marketing companies do sell your personal information in buying history to other companies. In this case, scammers bought Penny's information and created companies. Once they had her credit card information, the charges continued. If you spot any unusual charges on your credit card, dispute that with your credit card company. In Mashburn's case, scammers were all found guilty of mail and wire fraud.
Pretty unbelievable. Thanks for uncovering that, Will. Taking a live look now back over the Columbia County Fair with our Sky 12 Eye in the Sky. The fun lasts through 10:30 tonight, so plenty of time to get out there. And tonight, if you head out, if you donate 10 non-perishable food items, you get into the fair for free. So pretty great deal for a pretty great cause. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Riley Hale is out there live at the fair. We're going to check in with him for your forecast after this quick break.
We're standing Wednesday sale. Come in now. This sale ends soon. Lazy Boy. Long live the lazy.
Welcome back, folks. We're live here at the Columbia County Fair. We got a bunch of people out here tonight. We're having a lot of fun, a lot of people out here, and very comfortable temperatures. Take advantage of the dry weather tonight. See those highs in the 60s and staying cooler than average.
So this sounds like the night to be at the Columbia County Fair. Riley Hill, thanks very much. Our next live update, 7 o'clock on NBC 26.
And we're back for more news at 11.
At the CBS Evening News, we focus on solutions, finding solutions to help people understand what are the right choices to make for you and your family.
There are